Welcome to episode 2 of the Gambling Goosecast. I'm Bill Gustafson, aka the Gambling Goose. This is a podcast where we make dreams come reality, one parlay at a time. Let's talk about last week's bet. Pretty terrible. Went 1-4 in the parlay. Let's recap it. The first bet was Adam Yandiv at plus 195 versus Jake Johnson. Adam Yandiv is fucking terrible. He hasn't fought in 3 years. I didn't know that. Probably should have done a little research, but I didn't. But I still gave him a chance. He came in, and he looked like he never fought. Jake Johnson took him down, submitted him in the second round. It was demoralizing. Never betting on Adam Yandiv again. Second bet. Triple G minus 155 against Canelo Alvarez. Triple G gets screwed again. Clearly won a decision and outboxed Canelo. Closer fight than the first, yeah, but still don't agree with it. Let's hear what punch drunk Teddy Atlas has to say.
Golovkin, I had him 117, 112. That's what I had it. There's two ways to fight as the bigger guy. The naturally bigger guy, you're a little bigger than me, but only in height. The naturally bigger guy, obviously Golovkin. This time the smaller guy, Canelo, after 2 failed PED tests, didn't have the help of the PEDs, came in as the smaller guy. The bigger guy, you can either fight by going inside, imposing your bigger body on the guy, or you could decide to fight on the outside and be the taller, longer guy like Golovkin was.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Teddy. Keep doing what you're doing. 0-2 on that parlay so far. Third bet, New England Patriots minus 120. Well, I should have known every year it's the same thing with the Patriots. They lose a couple games within the first 5 weeks, and then they remember who they are and go back to winning. They made a decent comeback attempt in the fourth quarter, but it wasn't enough. Tom Brady, go fuck yourself. Fourth bet, New York Giants plus 125. Poor Eli. No protection. Gets sacked 6 times and still has that terrible face. Dallas got the early lead, held off the comeback in the fourth quarter. 0-4 on this parlay. Gotta love it. And the fifth and final bet, Chiefs plus 4, minus 115. The Gus Senior lock of the week hits. Patrick Mahomes looks like a young Viking and Phil Brett Favre. 6 touchdowns. I mean, look at the guy. Terrible hair and a voice that sounds like Kermit the Frog mixed with Sling Blade. Listen to this.
All right, so what was the first thing that went through your mind when you heard that the team had agreed to trade Alex Smith to Washington?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was at my little brother's basketball game, and I saw all the stuff posted all over social media and got all the calls and texts, but I was just really, all I'm focused on now is just working hard, preparing like I've been preparing, keep preparing like a starter, and be ready for any opportunity coming my way.
What the fuck is that voice? I've never heard anything like it, but by God, can he throw a fucking football. Gus Senior hits 1-0. Well, that recaps that parlay. Finished 1 out of 5. Not the result we were looking for, obviously. All we can do is say fuck it. Try again this week. Let's get things started for episode 2. For the first bet, we're looking at Saturday college football. This bet was found on Reddit from user Mangina Man, who wrote, Georgia minus 115. And the line's at minus 105. He said, Mizzou's head coach is the worst in the entire country. He's a defensive coach that gave up 550 yards passing to Purdue last week. In addition, he hasn't beat a 500 team in over a year. As a lifelong Mizzou fan, this is going to be a 30-point slaughter. Well, that's good enough for me, Mangina Man. Go give him a follow and put it in the books. Bet 2. Raiders, money line, plus 145. We got this bet from the YouTube user Andrew Warren. Let's hear what he has to say.
Now we go to Miami and Oakland. All right. Like I said, I don't know what John Gruden's thinking, but I think he's trying to tank it to rebuild. Maybe that's a possibility, but I don't know. But it is a game that Oakland is going to win. This is it. I'm not saying Miami's a big fluke or anything like that. I'm not saying that, but they're in a tough division with my New England Patriots. They can falter anytime. If you're Miami, just win now. Win now. I don't think it's going to be it, though. I don't think so. I know it's in Miami, but I'm going to have to take Oakland in this one. I understand this cross-country, things like that. In the past, when John Gruden was coaching with Oakland and Tampa, he was really good at cross-country, though, so this could work out either way. But we're talking to a guy, we're talking about a coach who hasn't been playing since 10 years now. And we're talking he was been the Monday Night Football broadcast booth for the past 10 years, too. What the hell? I'm going to take Oakland against Miami.
He sounds like he has a lot of confidence in that pick. Or maybe not. But what it comes down to is I believe the Raiders will manhandle the Dolphins. Just a gut feeling, everyone. The type of feeling that makes you give Andrew Warren a follow and put it in the books. Bet 3. Vikings versus the Bills. We're taking the over. The over is 40.5 and minus 110. This is a bet from the Twitter user Big Rod 1987. He wrote, I'm liking the over in the Bills-Vikes game. Both of the Bills games have been over 50. And neither team has had a good as offense as the Vikes. Well, Rod, you sold me. Let's score some fucking points. Put it in the books. And follow Big Rod 1987 on Twitter. Bet 4. Niners plus 7. Minus 120 over the Chiefs. The fourth bet is from Tyler Hines. Tyler is the brother of my girlfriend and an absolute wizard when it comes to sports knowledge. He left me a voicemail on the new Gambling Goosecast hotline. Let's hear what he has to say.
Hey, Bill. So early in the week, I looked at the slate of games that had lines. I guess the one that jumped out to me first and foremost was the 49ers going into Arrowhead Stadium. I love what Patrick Mahomes is doing. I love their offense. I think they're going to score a ton of points, but Patrick Mahomes is on pace for over 4,600 yards and 80 touchdowns, and, I mean, we all know that that's not going to happen. So, Jimmy Garoppolo, he's my knight in shining armor this week. I think that if you look at the games they've played, the 49ers with a very dilapidated receiving core held their own against a very stingy Vikings defense in Minnesota. Or actually, that might have been in San Francisco. I can't remember where that game was, but either way, they held their own there. They're competitive. They're a tough offense. They got into a sloppy shootout with Detroit last week and won that game. I think Garoppolo is good enough at +7 underdogs to hang around in that game. If you look at at the Chiefs as well, they beat the Chargers week 1 by 10, and then they beat the Steelers last week by 5. So you look at those two games, and they're narrow margin of victory. Someone's going to hang around with them. Someone's going to beat them. I watched the condensed version on Game Pass of Mahomes last week against the Steelers, and he threw to a lot of very wide open receivers. So, as long as you get in at +7, I like the 49ers this week.
Can't argue with that. Niners +7. Minus 120. Put it in the books. Bet 5. The Gus Senior Lock of the Week. I tried setting up a phone interview with Gus. Didn't work out. We had technical difficulties. I'm incompetent. Loser. So instead, he sent me this email. Now, I'll read this email. It's not going to do it justice. We're going to get him on the phone next week, I promise. But here we go. I like Tampa Bay +105 at home to Pittsburgh. It's not so much about Tampa, although they're looking better. It's more about Pittsburgh. The Le'Veon Bell saga notwithstanding, now Antonio Brown is unhappy and spouting off. and saying that Pittsburgh defense is porous would be a compliment given how bad they really are. Add to this that Big Ben has been playing terrible on the road, and it all adds up to a Tampa Bay win. One more observation. I think Fitzpatrick should keep the starting job even after the head case Winston comes back from suspension. Also, if Winston is the backup, he will have more time to do some groping of Uber drivers, as he will not have to do much film study and reps in practice. It's a lock. You heard it here first. Gus Sr. is looking to go 2-0. Tampa Bay, plus 105. Put it in the books. So let's recap this parlay. First bet, Georgia minus 15 at minus 105 for the bet. Raiders money line plus 145. Vikings versus Bills over 40.5 at minus 110. Niners are getting 7 points at minus 120. And Tampa Bay money line at plus 105. So we bet 25 to win $833.01. See if we can do it this week. Last week was obviously terrible. I don't want to go 0-22. Will it happen? Probably, but we can always dream, right? The degenerate dream is still alive. All right, so that ends this week's episode. So now you can listen to this podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher. For my bets, I use Bovada. The website is bovada.lv. I use that for all my sports betting. So if you do put in a pick, use their lines, because that's all I use. And now there's also a podcast phone number that you can call into. That number is 715-256-7840. It's my Google Voice for this podcast. Leave a voicemail with your pick if you want, and your reason for that pick. And as always, put it in the books.